everyone. Thank y'all for joining us for our Beef Brunch news update on Tuesday, February 4th. We are, I don't know, we're having a day here. We're all kind of scattered. Tripp isn't feeling well. He's under the weather, so he's at home. Brittany's at a meeting. As you can see, Lee got pulled onto a last-minute call. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Tripp did email me his update that he's got bulleted out. So I'm going to do that, and then afterwards, Vince, I can turn it over to you. So for the Northeast region, Tripp sent in, said, prior to the rain that we got last week, the hill country was getting pretty close to drought conditions. But after the rains that we've received, everything looks really good right now. As we move over towards the Delta, it's very, and he has very in capital letters, it's very wet over towards the Delta region. And of course, as we all know, muddy conditions are going to make chores and spring workings even more challenging. And then he said, speaking of the spring workings, they're well underway. A lot of producers that are also row crop farmers try to get all those spring workings of their cattle in before corn planting gets kicked off in the next upcoming weeks. And then grass across the region is short. I apologize if y'all can hear the background noise there, but grass across the northeast region is short. Some producers that grazed to the ground just trying to protect their crop from the winter weather, but ended up overgrazing some, but then some were able to supplement those cattle and brace for the cold. Grass that, of course, was grazed down does take longer to rebound from that. Mm-hmm. But any fields that he said he's looked at, they look okay. He's optimistic there, and just hopefully with some of this sunshine that we have coming up this week, maybe a little bit of fertilizer application, he's hopeful that those grass conditions will improve. I'm just going to, I guess, compliment or add to that. Lee and I drove around the hill farm Friday of last week, and I'm sure he'll touch on that some. Some pastures look better than others. When I was looking at the pastures at the Dean Lee Research and Extension Center there in Alexandria, those were pretty short too. It's just kind of a tougher ryegrass, cool season forage season so far. So I think across the state, we're probably going to hear some of that. Fingers kind of crossed that, as Tripp mentioned, some of the sunshine and some of this weather will help pick those up. So with that, Vince, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for the Central and South.
Thank you, Ashley. It's always a pleasure to provide these updates, for the state of Louisiana and Central and South Louisiana. We were the abominable snowmen a couple of weeks ago at with a low of 3, 4, 5 degrees in the Lafayette to Alexandria area on the Wednesday morning following the snow event of Tuesday. That was 2 weeks ago today. So it's amazing how much of a rebound that we've seen from that freezing cold weather event to 2 weeks today. Unfortunately, we got some rain following that, so it just compounded the mush and the mess following the snow. But I know at my place I measured 5 inches of rain in 2 rain events within a week after the snow. So it's been somewhat of a chore to make sure things are done and cattle are comfortable in the area. But remarkably, the ryegrass rebounded pretty well from the snow. I guess from insulation from the snow event, it came in dry. We've seen several people in the area adding that shot of top dress out. Yesterday, I think we hit around 78 or 79 degrees, and we're expecting to be that through the weekend, a couple of days of 80 degrees come Thursday and Friday. We can visibly see that the winter forages have turned around and they've starting to get that regrowth going. So that's been a blessing in disguise, I guess, following that winter event. However, I'm starting to see some forecasts for 2 weeks down the road, not a snow event, but probably a 20 degree below normal temperatures for February. So we're probably going to be faced with some more freezing weather events coming up soon. So I think generally pretty much everyone has a decent hay supply, and the snow event was short-lived. We got into our haystacks pretty hard in the central part of the state and the south, where you're starting to see trucks and trailers moving hay here the last few days. So where there was some resources, they're utilizing those and getting some of that hay moved that was in abundance coming off of the spring and summer that we made plenty hay in 24. So that's a saving grace in that regard. But Dr. Ashley, as you mentioned, there are some spring workings going on. People are sorting cattle to put bulls out for a late fall winter calving period here the last few days. And by golly, the pens are a mess. It's hard to get things done. Trucks and trailers. Trucks don't work on trailers in our area right now. It's a tractor on a trailer for the most part, but it's an awful mess. But with the springtime weather that we have upon us, talked to one of the row crop farmers here this morning, preparing to come to one of our pesticide meetings, and they plant rice and some soybeans. But he said remarkably high. It started to dry here the last couple of days with near 80-degree weather, sunshine, and some wind, and we're expecting that pretty much through the week with some rain chances coming in. I think Monday, Tuesday of next week. So. It's been a roller coaster ride, if you would, in the weather department. We're starting to, the January, February calves are starting to hit the ground, which is the ideal time of calving season for our part of the world. And we did have some death loss associated with the storm. Some of those that were knocking at the door came a little early and created some problems for some of the producers in our area. So it was a little bit of a challenge there following that winter event. So. There was some mention of some death loss of some grown cattle south. As we've often mentioned, we predominantly have a pretty good amount of Brahman influence in our cattle. As you get Alexandria south, some of those cattle that were not protected or didn't have the preparations for that winter event, we did see some death loss there. So, which it can only be expected. I mean, we're not our animals and our structures, our program is not designed to handle that type of weather event. I know it's bull time of the year. Make sure your bulls are taken care of. That's always a pet peeve of mine as far as seeing bulls that are too thin going into the breeding season. They're going to be working overtime here the next 45 to 60 days and come off for a break to get back after in May and June, which is probably a more difficult time for getting cows bred as far as we move into the spring and summer temperatures. So make sure those bulls are in good condition and you have them up close. If you have some extra bull battery, make sure you give them a little added nutrition to get some body condition score up 1 or 2 points before moving into the breeding season. Because Lee's going to cover some of the marketing aspects. The market's still red hot. I looked at a futures market this morning. We're seeing some fluctuation, and I'm sure that's due to some of the tariff issues that might be going on. But the market's still very strong, and good bulls are still very expensive. So it's important that we take care of them. So that's about where we're at. It's about time of the year to make that shot of nitrogen or nitrogen ammonium sulfate application on our winter forages. Some people are fertilizing wheat here this week. We should start to see that move. So with that being said, we just kind of status quo, and thank God our winter event didn't last any longer than the 3 or 4 days that it did. It was surely enough of a challenge for our producers in the area.
Thank you. I'm still not sure I'm fully understanding how in North Louisiana we had no snow, but y'all were sledding and everything else in the southern part of the state. I'm not complaining. I didn't want the snow. I got a lot of work done, but still. Lee, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you for your update.
Thank you, Ashley. I don't have my affairs in order that good today. I've been kind of scattered here in the last hour or so, but jump right into it today. And what a difference 2 weeks makes. If you want a perfect analogy for Louisiana weather, the fact that last time we recorded this, Brittany was sitting with her door open, showcasing all the snow on the ground. And I'm here today to talk to y'all about the fact that we're headed for 80 degrees, and I believe that today we're on track to break the record high temperature for today, but at the National Weather Service in Shreveport. So what a difference 2 weeks makes. But it does feel different. It feels after a stretch of extremely cold weather, though we're not anything like what Vince and our counterparts down south experienced. We did experience some bitterly cold weather It seems like we're maybe turning a corner a little bit. Last week, I had an opportunity to attend the Bossier Cattlemen's Association meeting and visit with some friends of ours, some friends down there up and down the Red River Valley, and I asked them all how the clover was doing, and they all said bad. So nothing yet is was one of the response, and that's true. Kind of rushing the white clover up in our area a little bit, but we should, with temperatures as warm as what they are, we should start seeing some clover activity, especially in the valley there, Red River Valley. But even in the hills where clover's a factor, it should come into play. Starting to see a little bit of volunteer ryegrass poking its head up a little bit. The ryegrass, I know Ashley mentioned it briefly, but it's in spots it's outperforming what our expectations of it are. I know Tripp sent in his comments, and I know that he's looked at some awful tough ryegrass. I've seen some positive signs on ryegrass, folks, and we're starting to add a few minutes of daylight every day. And with warm temperatures, we get a little sunshine, we got adequate soil moisture. That's just the recipe to bring these winter forages on to the forefront. So anyway, but as we get into the markets, folks, I really don't know where to begin on markets. Um, there is so much that we could talk about. We could fill up an hour or 2 hours just discussing just a few of the aspects of what's going on in the cattle market right now. And I guess a good place to be to start is the record prices that we've seen. Folks, last time we recorded one of these news updates, we talked about record prices being broken, and that's the case again. The cattle markets are red hot. You run out of analogies for them. Record breaking, historic would be another way to put it. Um, you just run out of ways to describe what's going on with the cattle market. But there's so many other things that are in the wings, and these massive issues that are either having a bearing on the market right now or have the potential to have a bearing on the market. And a couple of those things, of course, one would be the trade wars, the tariffs that are being bandied about, and everything. I've gotten a question about that, about how does that factor into beef? And then what I read, it looks like beef will be included in that as far as that goes. And we talked pretty good a little bit about this before. Fact that we do import live cattle from Mexico. We also import a lot of live cattle from Canada. The Mexican cattle that cross the border are mostly of the lighter variety. To my understanding, they're more of the lighter variety. Um, they're cattle that come over here to be grazed and finished. I don't think we really import a lot of fat cattle out of Mexico, though that number's probably not zero. On the Canadian side of things, we do import some fat cattle. There's some beef plants in the Pacific Northwest and along that far northern reaches of our country that do import fat cattle coming in across the Canadian border. So that can have a big bearing, along with calves. We do bring some calves and yearlings across the Canadian border as well. Of note, while we're talking about borders, is the fact that here recently, the market for Mexican cattle that was closed due to the screwworm outbreak has been reopened. That news dropped from the USDA this weekend, and so far it hadn't really been able to tell that it's had much bearing on the market. It seems like the prospects of tariffs and stuff has outweighed that just a little bit. But still, that's another factor in all this, is we're getting those Mexican cattle back into the stream of things. And one kind of misunderstanding that we have in the cattle business in Louisiana as well as in the United States, when we talk about cattle coming from Mexico, we picture Corriente breeds, maybe some hardier type cattle, and I'm sure there are some hardier type cattle crossing the border there. But by and large, I've looked at some Mexican cattle before crossing, and they have some pretty good cattle. Some of the folks across the border there that are in the cattle business, a lot of cattle country south of the border there. They've really improved. There's a lot of Charolais influence on their cattle, some Black Angus influence as well. So I've seen some pens and some pastures of cattle that originated in Mexico that you would not be able to, unless I told you they came from Mexico, you wouldn't be able to tell that that's where their country of origin was from. So a little bit about kind of what's going on the periphery of the markets. We'll jump into what's going on locally in Louisiana. And remember, the last time we had recorded this news update, I stated that the market report was going to be a little different this next time because most every auction barn was closed the week of the snow there in South Louisiana, and even some up our way closed down because of problems getting cattle out and didn't want to risk anything as cold as what it was. So problems with waters and stuff like that. So even still, I've got a pretty good bit of data going into this market report, even though we didn't have any from that week. And it's just it's astounding whenever I tell y'all what some of these averages are and the movements made between these reports. So on 500 to 600 pound steers, average of the prices paid the last 2 weeks are $2.35. So that's $2.35 per pound to $3.46 per pound. On 5 to 6 weight heifers, $2.29 per pound to $3 per pound. Cull cows, $1.14 to $1.50 per pound. Cull bulls, $1.43 to $1.71. Average of the high prices paid for bred cows, $2,683.33. Average of the high prices paid for pair cattle, $2,841.67. So the percent change between this report and last. On the 5 to 6 weight steers, they experienced a 2.46% increase. 5 to 6 weight heifers, a 1.92% increase. Cull cows, a 7.75% increase. Cull bulls, a 6.44% increase. Now, folks, ever since we've been reporting these numbers, we've kind of tried to focus on just report to report, every 2 weeks kind of. So I don't track really how prices change over the year, but I did want to make mention of this because this is pretty outstanding, folks. On cull cows, since the first of the year, they've experienced almost a 17% increase, and cull bulls over 10% increase, folks, since the first of the year. It truly is outstanding. I'll finish up the market report with an observation made to me by an order buyer. Attended a sale in Louisiana last week, and he watched a pretty framey, pretty conditioned Charolais cull bull, a killing bull, come through. He didn't catch the weight on it, or he didn't tell me the weight on it, but what he did tell me is what it dollared up as. The bull dollared up before commission to be $4,400 for a cull bull, folks. And I kind of had trouble believing him there just a minute. And I got a call from another gentleman that was at the sale that told me the same thing. So either they colluded together to tell a big fib, and I'm repeating it to all of you, or it really did happen. And I really do think it happened. So $4,400 for a cull bull, folks. Wow, that's hard to believe. I can remember a time, Vince Destel, when we weren't giving $2,500, $3,000 for 2-year-old bulls ready to go. Wow, what a difference. Real quickly, a couple of events. Well, I know Ashley will provide a recap on everything. We will be starting a Master Cattleman class in the Northwest region. It's going to be at the Red River Research Station there in Bossier City, starting at February 24th. So we're getting pretty close. If you're interested, please get with us and we'll get you signed up there. Before that, Donny Moon is having a Jackson Beef and Forage Field Day in Weston, Louisiana, Lemoines Farm and Garden Store. It's coming up February the 8th, I believe. And I'm jumping all around here, but I'll jump on to another one. We're having our annual AI class April the 2nd through 4th at the Hill Farm Research Station in Homer. If you're interested, call us because I guarantee you it will fill up. And so with that being said, Ashley, I'll turn it back over to you.
Vincent, I'll go ahead and let you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind folks that, we continue with these spring-like conditions or early summer, May type weather. We'll start to see some of our warm season grasses start to move. I did mention, the forecast calls for some colder weather in the next couple of 2 to 3 weeks. But I had one hay producer talk to me yesterday about when should he start, considering to put fertilizer out. If we get a consistently warm conditions moving through the 1st of March, it'll be time to start doing things, putting some herbicide out and some fertilizer applications on our hay fields. If you want to get that early cutting, that's normally our best quality hay. It comes off in April, May, and June. So it'll be time to start thinking about if we consistently stay with this type of weather that we're sitting with today. Lee mentioned some records at Shreveport, Lafayette is down here in Lafayette. Same deal for Thursday and Friday. It's they call it for a record high temperature. So just be aware it'll time to get going here before long on our chores as far as getting the hay fields ready, and some of our summer warm season grasses and our pasture grasses. So I just want to mention, I'm sure you're going to mention something, the Master Cattleman dates and registration process, as we have one coming up in the central region.
Perfect. Thank y'all. Yeah, so we'll swap gears and let me go through the events. Again, there's quite a few coming up. We've got a really busy spring, which is wonderful. I do have the Master Cattleman website updated. We've actually kind of reworked part of the beef cattle website. So if y'all want to check that out, I've added some of that information. Before we get started, I have had a couple of questions about beginner cattlemen. I'm still finalizing those dates. So I'm hoping to kick it off. April probably would be the first one, maybe late March, but we'll have more than a month out once we get that advertised. So hopefully these are in somewhat of chronological order, but as Lee mentioned, the Jackson Beef and Forage Field Day this Saturday, February 8th from 9 to 1. I have Donny Moon's contact information there. If you plan to go and you have not already told him, please do let him know, just so he has a head count, because lunch will be provided. The Northeast Region Master Cattleman Program is going to kick off on Monday, March 3rd. Tripp is your contact for that. Again, that information is online. I can't remember. I think there was an issue with the registration form online, but if you email Tripp or myself, one of us will get that to you. DeSoto Parish Cattlemen's Association is going to have a meeting on March 4th at 6 p.m. at the DeSoto Parish office. Brittany and Laney's Breeding Soundness Exam Day at Dominique's in Opelousas is going to be on Thursday, March 7th. Again, for any of these BSC days, you do need to call to pre-register to attend. And so you can contact Laney at the Lafayette office or Brittany in the St. Landry office, and their numbers are listed here. I had an issue putting their flyer on the website for some reason when I made the BSC page, so it's not on there. They do have a flyer. I'm going to try again tomorrow to get that uploaded and online. The Central Region, as Vince mentioned, is going to also have a Master Cattleman program starting March 10th on Monday nights, and that's going to go until May 12th at the DeWitt Livestock Facility that's attached there to the Dean Lee Research and Extension Center in Alexandria. You can reach out to Brittany or to Tyler Barlow for the registration form and information. Their form is also on the website as well. I did not mention this earlier, so they want their registration by February 24th. Tripp is asking for his registration by February 17th. All this information is in the video description as well. The Acadiana Cattle Producers Springfield Day will be on Saturday, March 15th at the Iberia Research Station in Jeanerette. Registration is going to begin at 8. Lunch will be provided. And I have Laney, Abigail, and Blair's contact information if you have questions on that event. Tyler Barlow is having a breeding soundness exam day there in Rapides at Thompson Vet Services, which is right there by the Dean Lee Research and Extension Center on Monday, March 17th. Again, pre-register with Tyler to be able to do that. The Acadiana Master Cattleman Program is going to be Monday, March 17th through Monday, March 26th. That registration, I don't have a registration deadline for that. That information is not posted online yet, the flyer registration form, but if you reach out to Laney or Abigail, they'll be able to get that information from you. Lee did mention our AI school there at the Hill Farm Research Station in Homer on April 2nd through 4th. Again, reach out to us as soon as possible for that. I know that Miss Kathy is working her way down our wait list and interest list for that event. The Southeast Region Master Cattleman Program, Dr. Hay originally was going to start in January, but I mentioned during the last news update that he's moving that to start in April. I know he's already got a pretty big turnout. I do not know if space is limited for that or not. So if you are interested in Dr. Hayes, please go ahead and reach out to him. It starts Monday, April 7th, and will go through Monday, June 9th. He's not asking for the registration until the final deadline for that is March 24th. But again, I know he's got quite a few registrations open. So, or not open, I'm sorry. A lot of registrations already turned in. So please go ahead and reach out to him for that as well. Thursday, April 24th is going to be our Beef and Forage Field Day at the Hill Farm Research Station. Lee, I can't remember what time we kick off. We'll kick off, I think, registration around 8:30. We do serve lunch for that, and we're finalizing the agenda. We met for that last week. I think we have some great and very applicable topics that are going to be coming in for that. So as we get closer to that event, we'll discuss our speakers and our topics for that. And then finally, the Southwest Region Master Cattleman Program will begin May 1st and go through July 10th on Thursday evenings. Bradley Pousson is your contact for that. And I've got his information listed. He's going to have a couple of different locations, just depending on what's being taught there. Again, his registration form's not up yet, but it will be coming soon. But if you're interested in that, I do have his email listed here, so you can go ahead and reach out to him. If you have any questions on any of these, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us, and we'll put you in contact with the right person. If you see something that I'm missing online, just let us know. Vince, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone it's private pesticide applicator recertification time. If your card is expiring by March 31st of 2025, there are a number of meetings throughout the state that you can have your card recertified. You do not have to attend a meeting in the parish that you reside. You can attend a meeting anywhere across the state to accomplish that task and goal. If you would, Louisiana Department of Ag and Forestry, go to their pesticide webpage, and they have a list of meetings from across the state. I think most parishes by this point have notified those in their parishes that pesticide card holders that their card is expiring. So it's going to be important that you get that done. This year is a big number of people to recertify, so we want to make sure that we try to capture and get everybody covered. So just don't forget about that.
Thank you. Our next news update will supposed to be recorded while we're in Gonzales during the last day. So we may be a day or two late getting that to y'all. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to get that done, but just want to go ahead and give a good luck wish to everybody that's going to be taking, all the exhibitors that'll be taking animals and competing at the LSU State Livestock Show in Gonzales. And I know the Southern Livestock Show will follow up with that too. So good luck to all those exhibitors that are rounding out their show year. And with that, we will be back with y'all in just a couple of weeks.